Do you like to forgive? Is there some sort of a conscious heart that you have to show proper forgiveness to people? Always some negative energy going on through yourselves and this violent path of just negativity, all comprised into one. Revenge is sweet to the sour, as they say. So if you want to show happiness towards yourself, you rather kill somebody, or you rather beat them up, or you rather stick force and knives or something, probably put sugar in the tank. That is supposed to cure everything with the consciousness of being who you are. But you don't want to just talk about it, or make some sort of a compromise, or even just simply forgive them. Forgiveness, people, for the lack of a better word, is a powerful tool. It's very beautiful and it's authentic. It's a work of art. People ought to try forgiving nowadays in this crazy world that we live in right now. Forgiveness is wonderful. Do you like movies? I mean, like very powerful movies that have social consciousness around it, that's something that you can remember, something you can cherish, something you can love, something you can understand. Well, there's this one movie that I've watched that I love a lot. It's called Schindler's List. It's my favorite movie of all time. It talks about the Holocaust of the 1940s. But the character surrounding the movie, he's beautiful. He's great. He goes by the name of Oscar Schindler, okay? And it's a great scene on there. He's played by Liam Neeson, in case y'all don't know who he is. But he sits with this German prison camp leader at a German area that all prisoners are around. They're just having a conversation about power. That's it. Now, the leader, he kind of conveys his respect for Mr. Schindler because he doesn't get drunk. And he states that getting drunk limits a person's control, and control is power. This is coming from Schindler. The man commits the crime, and he should know better. We have him killed, and we feel pretty good about it. Or we kill him ourselves, and we feel even better. That's not power, though, he says. That's justice. That's different than power. Power is when we have every justification to kill, and we don't. So the leader replied by saying, "Do you think that's power?" Well, Schindler replied, "Well, that's not what the emperors had." Then he comes up with this story about an emperor. The man stole something. He's brought it before the emperor, and the emperor is going to kill him. The beggar throws himself to the ground, and he begs for mercy, knowing that he's going to die. But instead of the emperor killing him, he pardons him. This worthless man, he lets him go. Schindler says that is power. And he goes on and says that real power and control is to pardon or forgive. Now, in that particular scene in the movie, it's an obvious difference between a man's point of view about power and control of the power. Okay? Now, the German leader thinks power is the act of exerting force, which means you have to kill or use malice for revenge or exertion, for eye for an eye. Whereas Schindler believes true power lies in the ability to exercise forgiveness and mercy. And one of the things with our emotions is that when we're even in relationships to other people and we have not forgiven them, okay, we can feel blocked in a way. It starts the free flow of genuine emotions and our ability to interact in a wholesome way with others' emotions as well as our own. People, to forgive is at the core of healing. When you forgive, it allows your being and heart to heal, and it opens the door to physical healing, okay? We often think to ourselves, I don't want to forgive that person because it gets them off the hook. But the truth is, people, that person is unaffected by you forgiving them. Instead, you're the one that's going through the healing process for what you're going for. If you're finding it hard to forgive nowadays, you may want to undergo a deep process in your mind to help you release that anger, sadness, pain, and blame that you've been holding inside of you. Now, remember, you must truly let yourself forgive whatever has happened to you in the past, right? If you hold on into the blame or the betrayal, forgiveness is nothing but just lip service. It's just words. I mean, what's the first thing that comes out of your mind when you think about forgiveness? You probably got these images of tears and hugging, relationships. Maybe you are repulsed by the idea of forgiving someone who has really hurt you. I love the statement that forgiveness is not for the faint at heart, because most times when I have been wounded and been presented with the opportunity to practice forgiveness, it's not my first instinct to do that. And oftentimes it's just hard to do. It brings up feelings of vulnerability, and I usually sense myself getting up and a bit resistant to the idea that forgiveness is the right path. I cannot think that way. In fact, the idea, it's a hard shell around me and it protects me, just feels so much safer. And at the same time, I recognize that living a full and meaningful life often requires doing the harder thing. People, forgiveness is a complex and challenging spiritual principle. That's all it is. It feels good when you do it. It might even help to start with what forgiveness is not, in order to better understand what forgiveness is. Now, to me, however, and this is coming from me, for those of us who have been wounded deeply by others, either physically accepting the wound and the act of forgiveness, just accepting it, are two different things. And they're separate things that can bring a sense of freedom. To me, people, it's more about grace and mercy than about justice. It's not condoning or excusing any wrongdoing, okay, or harmful behaviors that you have, okay? Nobody says what happened is okay or that person is free to act that way towards again. We can recognize that wrongdoing is human and made a mistake, yet still hold a belief that the person should have acted differently. To forgive people is not a sign of weakness, however. All right, remember that. Forgiveness is not a sign of weakness. Sometimes we can hold on to our resentments as a way of attempting to demonstrate the strength, those boundaries, those self-respects of everything that comprises. But however, forgiveness in its purest form is actually an act of great courage and requires significant strength, compassion, and love for self as well as the offender itself. Now, people, to forgive is not a discount of the depth of the suffering of what we all go through, because it's important to honor the depth of our pain. It is also necessary to find the freedom, okay, from suffering and open our hearts to peace. Forgiveness can be the path of release to our soul. I came up with 3 types of forgivenesses, okay? The first one I'm going to talk about is exoneration, okay? Exoneration, to me, people, is the closest to what you usually think when we say forgiveness. Exoneration is wiping the slate clean and restoring that relationship to the full state of innocence it had before the harmful actions took place. There are 3 common situations in which the exoneration applies. Now, the first takes place when you realize that the harmful action was just an accident, which no fault can be assigned. Then, of course, when the offender is a child or someone who, for whatever reason, simply didn't understand the hurt that they were inflicting and towards whom you have love and feelings. And then that other situation kind of happens when that person who hurt you is truly sorry, takes full responsibility without any excuses for what they did. They ask forgiveness and gives you confidence that they will not repeat those actions again. In all those situations, I think it's essential to accept their apology, though, and forgive them of the complete forgiveness of exoneration. It's kind of like a prisoner get out of jail for we doing the wrongdoing. You'll feel better, and so the person who hurt you. And in fact, not to even offer forgiveness in these circumstances, people will be harmful to your own well-being. Might even suggest that there's something wrong with you rather than the person who caused the pain in the first place. There's another word I want to use for these types of forgivenesses. I call it forbearance, if y'all bankers know what I mean. And this is where it gets a little bit more complicated with the word. Forbearance applies when the offender makes the partial apologies or mingles with their expressions of sorrow with blame that you somehow caused them to behave that way. You started it. An apology is offered, but it's not what you hope for, and may not even be authentic. While you reflect on whether there's a provocation on your part, even when you bear no existence for anything whatsoever, you should exercise the forbearance if the situation still occurs. Do away with those grudges, fantasies of revenge, but they retain a certain degree of watchfulness. This is not similar to forgive, but it is similar to forgive but not forget, or trust but verify. By using those forbearances, people, you're able to maintain ties with people who, while far from perfect, are still important to you. Furthermore, in those cases, after a sufficient period of good behavior, those forbearances can rise to exoneration and full forgiveness. But what do you do when the person who hurts you doesn't even acknowledge that they're done anything wrong or given an obviously insincere apology? Okay? They're making no freedom whatsoever. Okay? These are the cases of forgiveness that are the most challenging. This bad is about to get low. This can be in such examples of adult survivors of child abuse, people in business who've been cheated on by their partners or friends, or relatives who have been betrayed by one another. Still, even here, there's a solution. And that's that third type of forgiveness that I'm saying. And it is simply called release. Now, release does not exonerate the offender, nor does it require forbearance. It doesn't even demand that you continue the relationship. But it does ask you to, instead of continuing to define much in your life in terms of the hurt, you release the bad feelings in your occupation with the negative stuff that has happened to you. You see, release does something which is really important. It allows you to let go of the burden that is weighing you down like a rock and eating away at your chance for happiness. If you don't release the pain and anger and move past dwelling on old hurts and betrayals, you'll be allowing yourselves to hurt you to live in that mindset, reliving forever the persecution that the original incident started. You see, when we talk about forgiveness, I say it's a process of freeing ourselves from negative feelings. The path of forgiveness allows us the opportunity to release the shame, the anger, the frustration, the resentment, and that desire for vengeance in service of making space for peace and love in our hearts. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself. When we hold on to hurts and stay in a place of anger and fear, we limit our abilities to deeply connect with others. We are inherently social creatures, and relationships are necessary for us to survive. I'm going to say it again. Relationships are necessary for us to survive and thrive in our lives. When true forgiveness takes place, people, our inner beings are more peaceful and have a greater capacity to connect with others in a meaningful way, okay? Now, people would say, well, what about forgiving and forgetting? You know, we might hear the phrase forgive and forget, but in this life, right here, in this particular life, there are some wrongs that have been done simply would not be forgotten, and perhaps shouldn't be forgotten. But we remember as a way of ensuring that we do not experience the same pain twice. We remember as a way of honoring our journey. We remember as a way of bringing our narrative into the darkness to light. Perhaps helping human suffering in a way among the path of life. Forgiveness, people, does not bring it with forgetting. While there are some things that we desire to forget, potential for transformation and healing also lies in the remembering. Always do that. Because this remembering can take a different quality. One with that less sharp attitude, with the anger, and one with more gratitude for the peace that comes into our lives. You need to release all that blame and hurt. Let it out. Just say it. I forgive this. I forgive this. I forgive this. I forgive this. Try it. Just try it and see what happens. In closing, forgiveness is only real if you let go of the whole consciousness. Then the body can commence healing. Schindler's List is a great movie. I recommend you watch it. It's 3 hours long. It won Academy Award for Best Picture, but the human condition is beautiful. If you want to know about forgiveness, watch movies like that. Okay, any Christian-related values, it's the same. If you watch film and television and just believe in that, it's a great healing for yourself. I mean, do you have a relationship in your life where you can still be holding on to that need to punish them for something they've done? I mean, do you feel that with yourself? If so, from this moment on, try and let go. Offer real, true forgiveness, people. Bring them into your soul's campfire and empty out all of the unspoken words that you are keeping inside your heart. Okay? You are not excusing their actions. Instead, you're lifting a burden that's coming from your heart. Let me tell you something, people. Healing and forgiveness are synonyms. Forgive yourself, forgive other people, and forgive life itself, and move forward with a newfound sense of completion and wholeness. Hallelujah. Everything will work out well for you. I promise you. Give that person a chance. No one is perfect. You're not perfect. Cast yourself in the first stone. Look at yourself in the mirror and cast judgments upon yourself before you cast judge on others. I ain't going to preach. Y'all know it. Forgiveness is an art. It's beautiful. It's too. Just do it and see where it goes. You'll feel so much better. And then make you look towards things that you've never seen before. You will be remembered by the actions you do. Not what you have, but what the actions that you create. Curtstride here. I'm gone. I'm out. I just want to share that with you guys. You know where to find me. Just take care of yourself. Help that person on that street. Help that child. Feed that child. Educate that child. Educate that elderly person. Educate people who needs help. Don't give up the fight of who you are. And the most important thing right now is the power of negativity turning into a positive. You are a powerful person if you do that. There is no other way. You can't take money to heaven. You can't take fame to heaven. You can't take sense of anything that you can for heaven. The only two things that are going to follow you when you die is your reputation and your integrity. I'm going to say it again in case y'all didn't hear me. The only two things that's going to happen, that you're going to take with you when you die in this world, is reputation and integrity. Look it up. You ain't got to believe me. Help that person. Forgive it right now. Curtstride out. Take care. God bless. You know how to find me. Have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Goodbye, everybody.